Abayomi Dada from Milton Keynes. This is a question on Facebook in the Property Newbies group. I'll get into BRRF. Any advice, tips of what to look out for at property auctions? Or better still, would you recommend property auctions as a way of getting started, getting into this strategy? Many thanks. So the strategy of purchasing, refurbishing, and then refinancing, effectively the principle of it being that you buy a property at a certain price, you spend some money on it to improve it, to increase its value as well, and then you remortgage it based on its new higher value, and you extract out of there a certain amount of money which would cover your initial investment and maybe your initial borrowing into that property, which means you're probably left with a property with very little or none of your own money left in that particular deal, also generating an income. And that's a strategy many people do. It's not one I've used for a while. We tend to do something similar on our HMOs, but it's a little bit different. But essentially, there's two key things you're looking for to make this strategy work. One is you've got to be purchasing at the right price. Are you buying at a low enough price so that you're building your profit from day one? And I'm sure you've heard the term that you make your money when you buy, and that's exactly what that means. That means if you buy at a very good price, you've locked in profit from day one. So what I mean by that, well, let's say the property is worth £100,000 and you pay, say, £80,000. That means you've already locked in £20,000 of profit before you even start. So that's one thing that you need to consider. The second thing is you need to be thinking about what is it that you need to spend on the property to push up its value. So let's say, as we said in this example, it's worth £100,000. What is it you need to do to that property to push it past £100,000? Is it a really nice kitchen and bathroom? Is it reconfiguring the layout? Is it creating another bedroom somewhere in the loft, or reconfiguring the existing layout to squeeze another room in there? What is it you need to do? Because quite often in this country, a lot of valuations are based on the number of bedrooms and the location. These are two factors that quite often determine values. Whereas if you look at many other places around the world, often it's based on square footage. What size is the building and location? Here, often it's really about the number of bedrooms and the location of the property. These are what determine values. Not exclusively, but they have a big impact in terms of what the value of that property is. So these are two things we need to take into consideration before we start. Are we buying at the right price to start with? And what can we do to add value on it to really push up the end value of that property? So then when you come to refinance, it should be nice and simple, nice and straightforward. There are a few factors to take into consideration when you're doing this. It's not just quite as easy as it sounds, although the principle is relatively simple, because you might get a surveyor that objects to a significant hike in the price or value compared to what you paid for it. Sometimes you can get properties in an area where they're very slow, i.e. there's not many property transactions. And again, there could be questions around what the value actually is, the new value that you've created. So you need to have some confidence about what that end number is going to be. That's the important thing. So the other part of your question is about buying at auction. Would you buy at auction? Personally, I don't buy at auction. I've sold at auction a number of times because I think, particularly right now, if I just use Birmingham, other properties through auction are selling very quickly at high prices, a lot of interest, huge amounts of people turning up at the auction. And personally, I think they're overpaying for much of the stock. Doesn't mean you can't get a deal. There are some deals to be had. I just think there are easier ways to buy property than the auctions right now. Now, there have been times in the property cycle which I would say auctions is the right time to buy. And for me, that time is particularly when, say, a recession is we're in a state of recession. There's a lot of repossessions happening, and what happens then is you pick up some very low-priced stock through auctions. So when we talk about buying at the right price, that means you're able to buy the property at the right price and the offset. If you're going to auction right now, the guide price is say 60,000 on the property and it sells at 120 and its value is 110. There's actually no opportunity there. So, and I can only give you an example of Birmingham, so I'm not sure where you are in the country. I think you mentioned Milton Keynes. So I don't know what the market is like in Milton Keynes in terms of auctions, but I'm sharing with you my experience of auctions. So have a look at what's happening in the auctions, how many properties percentage-wise are selling based on ones that go into the auction. You can get these figures normally off the auctioneers' websites. What prices are they achieving versus the guide prices that were set out in the catalogue? And again, all this information is available to you. If you're interested in auction, there's a website called EIG, which is a lot of information around auctions. They keep all stats and data there. I think it's David Sanderman that runs it, if I remember correctly. And you can get access to auction data there in terms of what prices properties have achieved, what auctions a property might have been through more than once. So particularly if you're interested in auction, I think it's a useful thing to subscribe to. It's a paid website, but useful. That helps.